welcome back to Anguilla. There is a purpose to this flight today. Let's hope we have success. I'll tell you about it on the way. External power supply is on. Rotating beacon on. Mixtures and props full forward. Master switches on. Fuel pumps on. Magnetos on left. Throttle's cracked. Let's open the starter hood. Check the right propeller area. Right propeller area is clear. Engage the starter. Good start. Let's check the RPMs. They're not too high. Let's check the oil pressure. Oil pressure is good. Left engine is clear. Engage the starter. Good start. Manifold pressure is good. Oil pressure is good. Let's go. Magnetos on both. Let's turn the avionics master switch on. Close the starter hood cover. Turn off the fuel pumps. Fuel pressures are good. Let's bring the power back just a tiny bit. Let's turn the external power supply off. Let's turn our lights on. I'm getting pretty used to doing this now. Getting somewhat good at it. One of the funny things they say in aviation is that, like, in terms of, I'm going to put in 122.8, in terms of, like, memorizing things versus using a physical checklist, which I'm not using a physical checklist to start the engines. Putting 118.15 in the backup frequency. The funny thing is you have to memorize procedures that you only do, hopefully only do, never actually, because you have to memorize. There's 118.15. Let's put the CDI on GPS. Because you have to memorize emergency procedures, right? And emergency procedures, hopefully you're never going to use. So you have to memorize emergency procedures, which you hopefully never have to use, but you have to use a checklist for things that you do every single day, which doesn't make any sense. You'd think it would be the reverse, but in any event, let's engage the brakes, release the parking brake, transponder, squawk altitude, and we are clear to taxi. Not much taxiing to be done, of course. Let's put in a notch of takeoff flaps. Let's check our trim. Trim looks good. Whoopsie daisy, let's try not to take out the tail here. This other airplane. So the point of what I'm doing today, first of all, I want to get a clean flight in without any crashes to desktop, which I've been having lately. The other thing I want to do is I installed a new add-on for St. Barts, which adds a whole lot of scenery to the island, like a lot of little bits and pieces to the island, but it also eliminates a lot of the trees in the landing area, in the final approach path. I don't see anybody coming down final. I don't see anybody on the GPS. I don't see anybody in the runway. So let's bring in the power. Let's broadcast our intentions here. CJ Lloyd traffic, Anguilla 264, taking runway 11 for departure to the south, CJ Lloyd. Alright, flaps are set. Mixtures and props full forward. Fuel pumps are on. That's why you check. Heading indicator is correct for the runway number. Alright, we're good to go. Takeoff power coming in. Takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are all in the green. Airspeed is alive. 60 knots. 70 knots. And rotate. trim here. And there's the beautiful island of Anguilla. Let's bring the power back. Let's bring the props back so as not to annoy our neighbors. You know, be good neighbors when you're a pilot. Put that notch of flaps up. Begin our turnout here. CJ Lloyd traffic, Anguilla 264 is on a right crosswind departure to the south. CJ Lloyd. Alright, so 1,000 feet AGL, let's turn the fuel pumps off. Check the fuel pressures. Fuel pressures are good. One thing I forgot to do is turn my landing light on. Turn my landing light on. So, we are on our way, heading into what they call the VFR corridor to St. Barts. They have a special, because there's so much traffic between Grand Casse Airport on St. Martin, 1,700 climbing 2,000. Because there's so much traffic between Grand Casse and St. Barts, and technically this whole area is under the Class Charlie airspace of Juliana Airport. What they did was create what they call a VFR corridor, which is kind of a cutout in the airspace around St. Martin that just allows traffic between Grand Casse, which is right over there, and St. Barts to kind of go back and forth with as little kind of disruption from Juliana's location as possible. Works out better for the controllers, works out better for the pilots. So, the airplane's still wanting to climb, or they want it to climb. So, 23 inches of manifold pressure. Just a little bit on the props, they're a little bit low. So, and there is the beautiful island of St. Martin. See Grand Casse Airport right there in the valley. So from basically that island right there to Grand Casse, that airport right there, all along this little slice of the sliver of space between here and St. Barts, from the surface up to 2,600 feet is the VFR corridor of St. Barts, and it basically just allows VFR traffic to transit back and forth. We're pushing our luck a little bit with VFR today because I'm going to go into some clouds here. So I added something to St. Barts, which when you're landing here, there's that little when you're landing here on runway 10, there's that little sliver of kind of a valley that you go through on the approach, and the trees there are pretty prominent in the simulator, and a little too prominent. And so this little bit that I added to the simulator, this little scenery that I added, supposedly will take care of that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And it also adds a lot of little bits and pieces around the island that we're sort of missing. One of them being on the tops of the hills, like to the left and the right of the approach, they've got windsocks there in real life, and they weren't there in the simulator, and so somebody added them in, along with cleaning up that approach. So should be pretty cool. So let's see what we get here. See St. Bart's coming into view of the GPS there. Let's make our first radio broadcast. St. Bart's traffic, Anguilla 264 is 10 miles to the northwest inbound. Full stop runway 10 St. Bart's. So very typical. Power back here. Very typical type of day here, where you get these low level cumulus clouds in the Caribbean. Very typical. So start angling our way over now towards Sugarloaf, which is, see that sailboat right there, and then just to the left of the sailboat, right off our nose, is a little rock. That rock is called Sugarloaf. It's a popular dive site. In St. Bart's, but it's also a reporting point when you're coming into land here. Alright. Getting down into flap operating range, so I'm going to put in a notch of flaps and then push the nose down, because the nose is going to want to come up. I don't really want to climb. I don't mind losing airspeed here. I don't really want to. Actually, what I'll do is bring some power out rather than fight. So let's turn the fuel pumps on. Keep leaving that speed off. Mixtures are rich. I don't see any other traffic around on the iPad, which is good. Get a little bit more power out. I'm trying to lose a little bit more speed here. St. Bart's traffic, Anguilla 264 is on a 4-mile left base runway 10 St. Bart's. 90 miles an hour. It's good. Happy with that. Scan the area a little bit visually. I don't see anybody. So Sugarloaf is right off our nose, which is good. Here we get the beautiful island of St. Barts. Nice sailboat down there. Just a second. St. Bart's traffic, Anguilla 264, Sugarloaf inbound 10, St. Bart's. Alright, we'll put that notch of flaps in. You really got to pay attention going into a cloud like this, making a configuration change. That nose is popping up. And that's going to bring your speed down, which is fine, that's what I want. But going into a cloud and losing visual there temporarily, you gotta pay attention, make sure you don't lose control of the airplane. Alright, an 18 knot headwind. So this is a little bit different than most approaches would be in St. Martin, because our ground speed is so much lower than it would normally be. Ground speed right now is 47 knots. See this over here? That's our ground speed right now. So I'm gonna go props full forward, mixtures of props full forward, fuel pumps are on, flaps are set. And so that's why I'm trying to keep this vertical speed from getting too steep, because I'm going so slow. Normally I'd want to be maybe twice this vertical speed. Maybe 800 to 1,000 feet, because I'd be going so much faster. Because I'm not. Got to adjust to the conditions. St. Bart's traffic, Anguilla 264, short final 10, St. Bart's. So you've got to, adjust. You can't just fly it the same every time. You can see that those trees have really been moved out of the way here, which is great. This is a lot more what it actually looks like. See the harbor there. Yeah, this looks so much better. Alright, mixtures and props full forward. Pumps are on. Flaps are set. Looks a lot better. Starting to see that 10 coming into view here. And I'm just going to bring the power right out. That was a little too much. Alright, now I'll bring the power out fully. Nose is going to pick up itself here a little bit. So, that wasn't too bad. That 18-mile-an-hour headwind is really helping me out in this particular case. So now we'll do St. Bart's victory lap. on the runway. That looks a whole lot better to me. The adjustment that's been done here to St. Bart's looks great. And we'll come over here. And we'll announce clear the runway. St. Bart's traffic, Anguilla 264 is clear the runway, St. Bart's. And they added some static aircraft here as well, which is nice. You get that Twin Otter, which is looking good. There actually is a Twin Otter coming to Flight Simulator pretty soon, which is great. Definitely want to have a nice Twin Otter in Flight Simulator. So we'll take a front and center parking space right here. Give our passengers first class service here at St. Bartholomew. Dude's looking at his watch, he's got somewhere to go. Alright. Gauge the brakes. Mixtures to idle cutoff. Set the parking brake, throttles are idle. Let's turn our lights off. Let's turn the magnetos off. Let's turn the fuel pumps off. Turn the avionics master off. Turn the master switches off. And those props might keep spinning for quite a bit actually. And here we are in St. Bart's. One of truly the prettiest places in the world. So hopefully this airplane doesn't take off by itself. And I hope you guys enjoyed the flight. See you next time.